All right. Well, hey, YouTube friends. My name is Josh Elledge. It is Monday, January 21st, and going live. And we're going to talk about a documentary that I just saw last night. I'm sure you have seen as well. If you're watching this video, if you haven't, probably you should hit pause and you should not watch this because I don't want to give you any spoilers because we're just going to talk about everything that was in the Fyre, Fyre, documentary. I watched the Netflix one. I'm going to watch the Hulu one tonight. So just know that my perspective is going to be based off the Netflix one. So I don't know, but my understanding is in the Hulu one, they actually pay Billy McFarland. So I don't know what the perspective is going to be. It might be a little bit different than the Hulu one. So what I'd really love to kind of go through is some lessons that I think many of us can learn, particularly those of us who are in business for ourselves, those of us who are working to grow a company, those of us who work with audiences, those of us who work with influencers, those of us who are influencers. And I just want to talk about like what can we learn from these things? Because I don't know about you, but as I was watching it, I had a tummy ache. Like I literally was just like sick to my stomach. And it really took me a little while to kind of figure out, what was triggering me, why was this so upsetting? I mean, it was really stressful, having put on events, having, grown companies, and you see these mistakes and you see the issues of character and the issues of integrity. And it's just so stressful because I think a lot of this could have been avoided. I don't know if the, Fyre Festival, I imagine that there was a possible way that you could have made this event successful, but clearly, as we see in the documentary, like just everything goes sideways. It's a train wreck. It's really, really bad. And so now, again, I'm just going to give you my perspective. I'm not the be all and end all. What am I? I'm just like one dude that, I've got my own personal response to it. So I could be completely off base on some of this stuff. Please chime in below. I want to find out what other people think about this documentary. Am I off base? What are your thoughts? What are your questions? What are your observations? What did you see that maybe I missed in this documentary? Because again, I would love to learn from this. I think one of the most important things is that mistakes are going to happen, right? And we're going to make mistakes ourselves. We're going to see other people make mistakes. Sometimes they're just grossly negligent, right? I mean, it's just like, boy, I really did something stupid. I really made an error in judgment. I ended up hurting a lot of people, and that's really painful to be able to experience that or to witness it in the case of watching the Fyre documentary. And so, but I think it's really critical that we always ask ourselves anytime that we watch something like this, and we say, well, what can I learn from this? So what I want to share is maybe 4 different aspects to this where I think I kind of gained some insight. And the first one has to do with integrity. And so as you are, it can be very tempting if there's a lot of excitement, maybe you've got access to a lot of money, maybe you don't have a lot of where, a lot of controls or guardrails set up for yourself, you may be tempted to violate your in integrity. And I don't know what that is for you. I think everybody has kind of like their own idea of what is right and wrong and what they should do. But clearly, I think the vast majority of people watching Billy McFarland in the Fyre documentary would say, yeah, the dude is acting way out of integrity and absolutely engaging in illegal activity as well. And so, everything from saying, the island, for example, so they buy the island, or they have they're leasing it or whatever, but they have an agreement. And that agreement is they are not allowed to say that this is Pablo Escobar's island. Well, what's the first thing they do? The very first social media announcement that they make is they say, this is Pablo Escobar's former island. And so right away they said, gosh, this is too good. We can't not say this, but you signed an agreement. And so sometimes you're in business, you're going to have to say, we'd really love to do this, but we have an agreement. We have an agreement with someone. So you have to say no to opportunities. Like there's certain things that I've been able to participate, but I have an agreement that I'm not allowed to put like a certain logo and advertise it on the front page of my website, for example, a particular organization that I spoke with, because I have an agreement that says, look, you're not allowed to advertise that you are a speaker for our organization. Now, if you go through my About Us page, you'll see what that organization is. And I've listed it under acceptable use. And so, but trust me, I would love to put that logo everywhere, but I can't. And that's just an agreement. And so, is there business that I might miss out on it? Yeah, probably. But that's okay because I have an agreement and I'm going to honor that agreement. Also, and this is, I think, where I really started to get kind of sick to my stomach, because professionally, my background is that I work as a consumer advocate. And so I'm always kind of looking out for consumers. I'm always looking out for small business owners. I'm looking out for, the employees, like the vendors and the construction workers and like all these people. And they just got left high and dry. And I got to tell you that hurt to see that. And so, it's really important that, in terms of, having integrity, that, if you've got a business plan, that business plan makes sure that you can take care of all of your obligations and that you do right by people. So one thing I know about in business is you never screw with people's pay. Like you cannot do that. I know times get really tough sometimes. And, if you were ever in a situation where you needed a few extra days, I would hope that you would, and I'll get into this where I talk about number 2, communication. That stuff can just happen from time to time, cash flow issues. And so you better be in really good communication with people, and you proactively communicate to people about and being transparent about what's going on. People will forgive you. People can work with you, but you have to lead in that relationship and not be afraid to reveal honestly what's going on. And I'm going to talk about that issue a couple more times here. He was not, Billy was obviously not very transparent with his team, and that was terrible because they believed in him. He sold them a bag of goods. Again, that's really unfortunate as well. What I'm saying, you're like, Josh, you were like way off. Like, go ahead and comment below, and I would love to engage with you in the comments below. Also, I'm going to be doing live streams like this. Would love to, as we build up this audience. This is brand new. This is the very beginning of me doing a lot more video on YouTube. And so if you hit subscribe, I would love to participate with you on a regular basis. And so you'll just get a notification when I do go live. And it would be my honor to be able to engage with you in live and so on YouTube Live. Also, clearly in the issue of integrity, it's so critical today. Look, you're not going to be able to get away with stuff that maybe you got away with in the past. People are just way too savvy in terms of being able to use communication tools, social media, and communicate with one another, communicate with you in a very visible way. And so we have to be very transparent with our tribe, with our own audience. And again, I'll talk about that in number 2 in just a second. But you can't lie to people. You just can't get away with it. It's not going to work. And so, one company that, gosh, I was an uber fan of initially was MoviePass. And that's another company that, I think just faced some real tough times. Their business model really didn't work out. And as a result, they ended up getting really sloppy with their user base. And interestingly, I saw one of they're doing some Facebook advertising to try to get people to resubscribe. And it's bad. Looking at the comments. And so, looking at the Facebook ad that they put out and then the comments below, woo, it is a bloodbath. And I feel bad because, gosh, I wanted MoviePass to work. And, it's tough. You don't, as business owners, we're not always fortune tellers. So we don't know what's going to work. But I think it's really important, again, as I mentioned earlier, part of that integrity is you have a business plan and you do your best to try to figure out, can this work? And if this doesn't work, what can we fall back to? What are our contingencies? You have to have that so that you can honor your agreement. So let's get to number two. Number two is communication. And so again, in business, like we're all going to make mistakes. It just happens. Like things are not going to work out. People are not, customers are not going to buy. You may have a competitor that squeezes in, market forces come in, and people just really aren't interested in what you have to offer. And so sometimes that makes things difficult. Sometimes we end up making bad business decisions, but it's so important, I think, in today's world that we just run a glass house business. And what that means is that, you let people know most of the stuff. Like you find a way to, and you think about this in good times, like crisis communications, for example. Crisis comms 101 is you imagine all of your, again, forgive me. Like if you want to jump on below and say, Josh, you don't have a clue what you're talking about. Like I get that. Like I respect that. Like if you have a different perspective on this, but crisis comms 101, generally the idea is you want to imagine what are all the bad things that could happen and that you plan for that ahead of time and that you make all of your decisions in a rational, logical brain rather than just responding to, oh no, stuff just hit the fan. And now you're responding and emotions are high. Like you don't want to do that. You want to be able to think out this stuff all in advance and have all your comms, all your communications ready to go. How are you going to handle this when it happens so you don't make an atrocious mistake? Of course, again, like Billy and the rest with the Fyre Festival. Next thing you want to do in terms of communications, and again, this is another mistake that we saw, it was huge, is that you need to surround yourself with smart people and you need to listen. Listen, I have an opinion that every person's opinion is valid, which is why I'm asking for your opinion. Like, honestly, I could be completely wrong on some stuff that I'm talking about in your world. And I totally respect your experience of that. And so with our team at Up My Influence, we have about 15 to 18 people on the team, somewhere around there. And I count on our team, like I count on my ops director and so many others to let me know what's going on. Like they are in the trenches. I don't see what they see. I can't see what they see. As you become a leader and you build a larger organization, you can't be everywhere. You will not have the same experience that other people do. So I rely on my team to let me know, hey, Josh, this is not working very well, or I think we could improve this right here, or their feedback and letting me know, Josh, we have a problem. You're not doing this, and this, and we need you to step in on this sort of thing. Like that happens. And so as a leader, you have to be willing to take your ego, set it on a shelf, and fall back to your why, fall back to your mission, your purpose. And so what I tell my team is I say, look, we all share a common why. Why are we doing this? Why, because, at Up My Influence, like we believe that every person has a message that could positively impact the world. And so our mission is to help thoughtful entrepreneurs turn them into media celebrities so we could increase their authority, their influence, and ultimately their revenue. And if I'm getting in the way of that in some way, I need my team to let me know what I could be doing to improve. And so again, leaders, be willing to take your ego, set it on a shelf. The captain cannot move an entire ship all by themselves. They require lots of people. Now, the captain should be able to help set the sail and set the direction and remind the team of the vision and the purpose. And they have, I'd say, maybe more of an outward focus in terms of being a face at times for the team. And so, but again, that ship does not move by the strength of one woman or one man alone. It relies on everybody working together, unified in purpose, communicating very well with each other, and then great things can happen. The Fyre Festival could have been truly amazing. I think if there had been, because he had some really, really great people that appeared as part of the team who advised him in terms of like, gosh, this is not working. We really need to do this. And there was a lot of non-listening. And you can't build a company and a movement only with hype, which gets me to number 3, and that's influence. So lot of cautionary tales here in terms of the power of influence, digital influence. And so I want to speak to influencers for a second. You must use your powers of influence for good. And I think it's so critical. While sometimes we might get really tempted by a good paycheck, listen, you are only as good as your last mistake. And so with Savings Angel, we have the opportunity to work with a lot of brands, and we have to do our due diligence, because if we recommend a product or service and it turns out to be scammy or something's wrong with it, look, our audience is going to, they're either going to let us know about it or they're just going to leave. And we can't afford to do that, because if everyone says, yeah, this person's just, just nothing but a shill. Look, I think everybody understands that influencers, part of how they make money is they work with brands. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just know that if you are going to work with a brand, I think that as influencers, we need to take more and more responsibility with doing our due diligence and saying, look, I have to be very, very protective of my own brand, because my audience is going to hang me out to dry if I lead them astray. The influencers, all the supermodels that were involved in promoting the Fyre Festival, this may have been really, really hard for them to kind of see through all the smoke and mirrors and all of the promises. This may have been a really, really tough one. So what I would recommend, and it sounded like, many of them did, is that, when they come to an understanding that I have aligned my brand with this other brand, and this other brand is really, I have learned that this brand is really screwing up. Sometimes we got to do damage control on our own. We have to distance ourselves, apologize, and say, I'm so sorry that I connected you with this other brand and they screwed up. I will do better. And I think that sometimes as influencers, we need to fall on our sword, and we need to just be very transparent with our own audiences and let them know we screwed up. And as with Savings Angel, we have made mistakes from time to time. Up My Influence, we've made mistakes from time to time. And when I say we, I think I'm referring to the French we, me. I have made mistakes. And I think as long as you're honest, transparent, authentic with your audience, they can forgive you. And so again, not a whole lot of that in terms of like what happened with the Fyre Festival and Billy. So finally, number 4, and I want to talk to consumers, because again, I do have a heart for consumers. I do have a heart for, people who are being led by marketing, people who are being like, oh my gosh, I love this influencer, and this influencer is telling me about this product, brand, or service or whatever. And that is, I, as a consumer advocate, I want you to question everything. And it's really important that, that we're not afraid to just ask the question, what if this is wrong? Like, you don't want to get, you want to avoid feeding into hype. So one of the biggest things I talk about as a consumer expert, in terms of like, especially like something like Black Friday, like make all your decisions in a rational brain, right? Pretty much everyone buys because of emotion. And that's just the way we are. There's emotional reasons for buying now, and then we justify it with logical reasons. So you want to spend $20 in Candy Crush or whatever game, and in your mind, you're thinking emotionally, I deserve this. I'm doing well, blah, 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 but then your logical, so emotionally you want it. Like, you don't want to be restricted. You don't want to be held back. And logically you back it up with, that would be the logical reasons. I'm doing well in business. I've got some money. I deserve it, blah, blah, blah. And so it's really important that as consumers, we always question everything and just be aware that, every decision we make, am I buying this for an emotional, illogical reason? And if so, am I buying a ticket to Fyre Festival? It sounds amazing. It's, sounds like it's going to be a party, an amazing party. But, again, can I do just a little bit of due diligence on this? And in the case of those who bought tickets for Fyre Festival, maybe this may have been a really, really difficult one because you really emotionally wanted to be a part of it. Maybe, they controlled the messaging so well. I would say that, as people started asking questions and those questions were just getting deleted, maybe it would have been better to, dispute it with your credit card ahead of time, just not go, because like, whoa, there are like way too many red flags that are popping up, and, try to be a little bit more protective on the front end. Again, sometimes, they're just going to be unscrupulous folks out there, and we're going to get hosed. But I just want to make sure that, that's one thing that really came up for me. And it really, like, I really felt myself emotionally getting upset in terms of like how consumers or fans or the customers were treated in this process. And they were just treated like sheep, and they were just treated like dollar signs. And so that hurt. I'll be honest, like that hurt in my tummy when I saw that. And so again, just a message to consumers, seriously, question everything. Obviously, Up My Influence, Savings Angel, we're a business, we've got services, we charge our clients money for, we really work hard. When we sell products and services to our clients, it's very important for us that we work out a business plan with them. And we say, look, you're going to make this investment and it's going to cost you $1,000. My job is to make sure that you get way more than $1,000 in value. Maybe I help you get more than $1,000 in sales. Here is how, and I don't just sell them the bag of goods. Like I share with them, here is the plan for making sure that this is going to be a net win for you. I want to know what their expectations are. I want to help them meet and exceed those expectations. We're not perfect. No business is perfect. But man, I think that as business owners, we ought to take one step further. So for those of us who work in communications or public relations, and we've got this, there are no promises or guarantees in public relations. I think we ought to maybe help create contingencies, maybe be a little bit more willing to say, well, look, if this goes wrong and this goes wrong and this goes wrong, here's what we can still do to make sure that you get some value. And sometimes that's not possible, but I would really love to see that in the agency world more and more and more and more. Again, with a marketing perspective and not. Again, Fyre Festival was all about hype. It was just hype. Baer, is one who has said, smart marketing is about help and not hype. Again, an event like Fyre Festival, I don't know exactly, what is the value proposition. I think it's, the connecting, and maybe that connecting leads to memorable experience. And so, maybe there could have been more done on that end of it to help deliver value. And if the value wasn't going to be delivered at the original level, what are some other ways that we can still make those connections, still bring that experience and bring the value to our audience? I think those are all questions that can be answered. So listen, this was just me, my own observations after watching the Netflix version of the Fyre Festival. I would love to hear what your observations were. I would love to hear where you think I'm completely out to lunch. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Go ahead and share that below. Like, I respect what your opinion is. I really just I'm now like, I just want to talk about this is kind of how I'm feeling. Because again, I kind of went to bed last night, just feeling sick to my stomach, and man, I just need to talk out what were the things that triggered with me, what were the things that were triggering me, and why did I have such a visceral emotional reaction to it. And so hopefully this was helpful in some way. You gained some value, especially for those of my friends in business for yourself. And so I look forward to reading your comments below. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. I promise to deliver as much value as I possibly can. And I look forward to growing with you as I continue producing lots of great stuff on this YouTube channel. We do some amazing stuff over and throughout 2019 with that. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.